We are in Salem, Massachusetts, the Halloween town. We are doing the Salem Trolley Tour. There are 3 wheelchair accessible buses, so make sure to contact them ahead of time if you need one, but they did say like if you show up the day of, they'll do their best to get one. It just, you may have to probably wait longer. They're also dog friendly, so we did bring a little friend along. So this stops at some historical sites. There's so much to see here in Salem, so I will show those stops along the way, some of the sites we see. I'll also show where we parked because it's like right next to the area. The parking garage does get full. There wasn't a ton of accessible parking in there, so it's important to keep that in mind. Salem's not really known for their accessibility because it's a very historic place. I will say, like, we are here Labor Day weekend, but anything after this is going to be super, super crowded. It's already really busy today because it's a super nice day out. But those are just some things to keep in mind as I show you the sites today. That red umbrella is where you get your tickets, and you want to get those before you get in line. So the 40 people first in line will get on the next bus. So if you don't have your ticket, you're going to have to wait till the next bus. So definitely get your ticket first. They only had 3 buses operating this day, so it was about a 30-minute wait. But during the busy season, I believe they have more buses. The major attractions are all about within 15 minutes walking distance of this area, and across this crosswalk is the walking trail that tends to rank number 1 in U.S. News for historical tours. The Lady of Salem, I am no witch. This is the Peabody Essex Museum right across as well. You will see that this is one of the accessible trolleys. They have the wheelchair lift in the back here. And the steps I used, and they were not super steep compared to a lot of trolleys. And as you'll see on the inside, the lift I think is pretty spacious, but I don't know for sure whether you can bring a scooter.
So the museum has undergone 2 tremendous additions. One of them took over a city block and closed a city street about 30 years ago. And then 5 years ago, another addition on this side. There's more than 1 item in the collection at the Peabody Essex Museum. But if you go in, has anyone been in there? Okay. Okay, 1, 2, okay. Back me up on this. If you go in there, there's not an overwhelming amount of information about the witchcraft hysteria of 1692 or the Salem witch trials. They opened their first permanent exhibition devoted to the museum is primarily about the maritime history of Salem. At its peak, Salem was the 7th largest city in the country. But today, Salem is the 6th largest city in the county. Where, of course, cars aren't allowed down here. Just shopping and dining and emergency vehicles, delivery trucks, and of course the trolley. Central Street. This was the central business district of Salem during that heyday I just mentioned. It was known as the Golden Age of Salem, 1750 to 1830. Today, the central business district. Okay, on the left, this red building right here, built in 1698 as the London Coffee House. That was decades before the Revolution, and that's what the Salem chapter of the Sons of Liberty used to meet. They'd sit around in there and complain about the terrible taxes being levied by the British. But today it's Red Sandwich Shop. Maybe you saw the sign on the front. That's the old burying point. And this is the 2nd oldest English burial ground in our country, and it dates back to 1637. There's about 300 people buried in here, among them Anne Bradstreet, the wife of an early governor and the first published female poet in our country, and Judge John Hathorne, the hanging judge and the great-great-grandfather of famed author Nathaniel Hawthorne, who added a W to his last name when he started his writing career, in an attempt to distance himself quite literally from the atrocities of his great-great-grandfather. I won't submit a plea, but Sheriff Corwin and his associates, they wouldn't take that into trial. They came in early one night, they ripped him from his home, took him outside around the corner to a field, put him in a shallow hole, put a door on top of him, and started piling rocks and stones on him. They were trying to arrest him and yell at him. There's a lot of shops and restaurants on the first floor. Up above are residential condos. This is a replica 1800s New England fishing village. There's 4 different seafood restaurants down here. And don't park here unless you're eating or shopping. As we round the corner, straight out through the front here, all that water out there, that is the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Salem Harbor. That's the first time we'll see the ocean on our tour. We're going to spend the next 15 or 20 minutes driving right up along the water. Has anyone seen a bride today? Yeah. Yes? Anyone? No? Yesterday I saw 3, and I'm sure I'll see. I haven't seen one today, but I'm sure I'll see one. People love getting married in Salem. Okay, so we're going to head out to Derby Street. Now, Derby Street, named after Elias Haskett Derby, the first cash millionaire in our country. He was from here in Salem. Made all his money from the sea, more than 50 ships, you know. Now, as we come around the corner, you see the sign right in the middle of the window there, Bunghole Liquors. And the best part about Bunghole Liquors is they actually painted their motto on the side of the building. Now, Jen has it memorized by heart, so she's going to tell you all what it is.
It says, we're not number 1, but with 2 T's, they're right up there.
Now, for those of you who are giggling, bunghole isn't a dirty word. It's just a hole in a cask used to hold water, wine, or beer. Final custom house, built in 1817 here in Salem. It's free and open to the public. Wednesday through Sunday, 9:30 to 4:30. So the whole park is free. Everything is free. This is the Derby house. This is the last home in the park. And now we're continuing down Derby Street. All that Derby stuff, the Derby restaurant, the Derby wharf, the Derby light, it's all that first cash millionaire was from here in Salem, Elias Haskett Derby. And this area through here is the Derby Street Historic District. The first of the 3 historic districts we're going to go through on our tour. And at the heart of the district on the left is the Old Pepper Company. This is the oldest candy company in the country. Parents, hold on to your kids. Now over to the right, this is the House of the 7 Gables. It's actually the parking lot and the sign because the actual house is on the back side of the property. It's sitting right down on Salem Harbor. And the name, you might recognize it because the house named after the 1850, tight on the right, named after the 1851 novel by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Because the stories in the book inspired by the ones he heard from his cousin who lived there. And our destination Jen's going to take us to is Winter Island. It's not an island anymore. It's a swimming pool in the country, or in the east coast of the United States. This whole area right here, built by a wealthy man who built that wall you see across the cove right there, because this part of the ocean, Cat Cove, had no water in it at low tide. So when his friends came over to his parties, they had nowhere to swim. So the wall helped create the pool. They trapped the water on this side of it at high tide. They closed the valve in the middle. Park, there's a bunch of beaches, a boat ramp, trails, picnic tables. But you'll notice it's primarily used as a camp area. There's an RV field. You can come plug in your camper. It's like $50 a night for electric and water. Tent sites over here, they're like $30 a night. But I'll tell you, last October here in Salem, during our Haunted Happening celebration, there was a hotel downtown that was charging $1,300 a night for a room. So if you come back in October, got to tell the friends and family you're traveling with, sorry, can't swing for a hotel room this time. We're going to have to sleep outside on the ground at the camp area to save over $1,000. This is a really good look at the water right here. We're going to do a big loop right around, and this is Salem Harbor down straight ahead. So as far as you can see, that's down where we were just a few minutes ago, Pickering Wharf.
Folks, I am so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. My other job, I drive for the duck boats.
This lighthouse right here in the corner, this is Pickering Light. And then behind Pickering Light, you'll see the largest island out there with all the buildings on it. That's Baker's Island. And on the far left of Baker's Island, the tallest structure on the island is Baker's Light. And that's a lighthouse of 4.5 miles out there. 45 seconds, Jen. North Restaurant out at the Pickering Wharf, right off of Congress Street.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Actually 3 in the world, and the first one in the U.S. right here in Salem. Runners come by, dig them up, bring them all back to Salem. They serve them all over the city as fried clam and chowder. Here's another one of our beaches here in Salem, straight ahead and off to the right. This is Dead Horse Beach. This is where they used to bury horses because, of course, people used horses to get around before they had cars. Pretty sure it was first come, first served. Because that first one, any day back in May. Okay, look to the left. This is the first of the 3 shooting locations. 3 doors down, that big brick building. That was the Jacob Bailey High School in the movie. Yep. Right there, that big one. You want to come back and check it out later? That's a 3-minute walk from there. It was the Phillips Elementary School here in Salem until 1992. The city closed it for good. They made it into senior housing, and Hollywood showed up. They put it in a few different scenes in the movie, including the one where they burned the witches in the basement. And Max was coming over back. They were walking down a path right out here at Salem Common, like Boston Common or Central Park in New York City. This is our version of it here in Salem. A 9-acre public park where all sorts of community events happen. They put in one evening every summer where all the ice cream shops come and set up. You can go around and sample the flavors. They call it the Scooper Bowl. It's from 1797 when the first elephant in North America was put on public display. See, the ship captains that made Salem so wealthy and so large in those golden age of sales, they had little bets going on about who could bring back the strangest item from their travels. So when Captain Jacob Crowninshield went to India, he thought he was going to win by bringing back a live elephant. Problem was, halfway back to Salem, we discovered how much water an elephant drinks. They were worried they wouldn't have enough water for the crew, so they started giving the elephant beer. It fell in love with beer. By the time it got back to Salem, it could open a beer on its own. They put the beer-drinking elephant on public display out here on Salem Common, charged 25 cents a person. In Salem, going there to get a history of the Salem witch trial. Over to the left, the 6-story brick building right here, the Hawthorne Hotel. That's the oldest full-service hotel in Salem. Daniel Hawthorne's on a statue right here on the left. To the right, at the end of this driveway here, just past this blue house, look all the way down, and you'll see the only decorated home on our entire trolley tour, because it's still August. But come back in late September, all the houses here in Salem will be decorated. We're headed to the other side of the city for the final third of our tour. They own 24 historic homes in Salem, including the Pickman House right here, which serves as a visitor center with a Charter Street Cemetery, which we saw at the beginning of our tour right here. Now, we did this big loop out by the water. We're back here now. 3-minute walk where that cemetery is, where you got on and off the trolley. So if you just got here to Salem, or you're still getting acquainted, it goes to show how close together everything is. And then the rest of the tour, everything we'll see within that 15-minute walking radius. So no town hall. But even if you haven't seen the movie, you don't know all the hubbub is about, here's a name you'll recognize, Bette Midler. She was playing Winifred Sanderson in the movie. She sang the song, Put a Spell on You, right here at Old Town.
Chris.
Okay, this is Washington Street. This is the heart of downtown Salem right here. And in just 2 blocks, it's kind of a restaurant row. There's 20 restaurants through here. It's Elizabeth Montgomery. Yeah, she played Samantha Stevens on the sitcom Bewitched. They called her the Witch with a Twitch. But it was 1970 when there was a fire at the studios in Hollywood. Elizabeth Montgomery, about 30 members of her casting crew, they came here to Salem to film a few episodes. They named that season the Salem Saga. Okay, over to the right, this is the Witch Dungeon Museum. And kids, look at the sidewalk. You see those items down there? Yeah, those are pillories, and they come in all sizes. Large, medium, and small. Around the front of it, it was built in 1532, 50 years before the Salem witch trials, but it was not home to a falsely accused witch. It was home to a judge from the trials, Judge Jonathan Corwin. He was a magistrate judge, a pre-trial judge, who would look at the accused for things like wart scars and, of course, freckles. This is the Ropes Mansion, home to 4 generations of the Ropes family, but that's not why the crowds are flocking here today. It was Allison's house in the Hocus Pocus movie. The girlfriend, yep. And the sidewalk in front, look at how wide it is. All these extra bricks were added at the beginning of the summer to triple the width of the sidewalk. There's all the people that line up in front of the Ropes Mansion every October when they decorate it like it looked in Hocus Pocus, with the hay bales, the pumpkins, and the corn stalks. This is where the falsely accused witches would have been taken by cart, coming right around the corner, headed up to Gallows Hill. But it shows you where Gallows Hill is, the 112-foot tall hill until just a few years ago, we believed the falsely accused witches were hanged at the top. But then they concluded in 2017 the hangings actually happened halfway down Gallows Hill at the top of the ledge. These are all federal style homes. The creator of federal style architecture was Samuel McIntyre. He was from here in Salem. Here's an idea of the prices. This one right here, number 40, that changed hands for $2.25 million this spring. You'll see it's the left side of the building there. You're sharing a wall with your neighbor. Up on kind of the vibe of federal style homes. Let's start with my favorite trait. It's the front doors. Look at this one right here. See how wide it is to the left of the handle? That's a coffin door. It's wide enough to fit a coffin through while the pallbearers are carrying it. We used to have wakes and funerals right inside the door. The room to the left or right, the parlor. Of course, today we have funeral parlors and funeral homes. They call that room the living room. On the left, this blue one with the black trim here, that is the smallest house on the street, 12 rooms. But right next door, the largest house on Chestnut Street. This green colored one with the white trim, 26 rooms. To the witch trials, it's also one of the oldest homes in Salem. It was built 30 years after the first English settlers arrived. So it's open to tours. They go in the back, they come through the front. And the person who lived there, Judge Jonathan Carr, he was a 1%er of the time. Most people during those years, they had like little simple one-room homes. So 310 Essex Street, we got on the trolley around 150 Essex Street in those stations. Half an hour, 40 minutes to Boston. That's the way a lot of them arrive here to celebrate Halloween. And that's the way a lot of them are going to go home. Turner Seafood, Lyceum Hall. And Lyceum Hall, it was a function hall. It's a function hall today, but in 1877, that's where Alexander Graham Bell made the first public demonstration. We're looking at the back side of the Roger Conant statue. He's facing out on the common. He is not a witch. Even though a lot of people think he looks like a witch, he's a Puritan. 1626, he was the first English settler of Salem. Came here with about 30 other Englishmen, and that's how he dressed at the time. So as we come around the corner, look over to the left, through the trees, hundreds of orange lights all hanging over the common right there. They were all left up in those trees in 2018 by Adam Sandler. Yeah, he was here in Salem painting the scene. Judy Halloween was a nighttime carnival right there in the common. The lights were hanging over the top of the carnival.
So it's a 1-hour tour and you get dropped off where you got on, and it's $25 a person, which I definitely think was worth it. Now I'll look quickly in a few stores.
But it's actually
More Legos. I wonder where that Disneyland of the Dead thing is. To answer that question, I saw a Disneyland of the Dead like sticker on something, and then I realized it's just like part of the merch from this flying monkey store in town. You'll see it now that I will show, and they have a lot of other unique designs. There's no shortage of tours here. They have them at day, at night, and it all depends what you're looking for and how scary you'd like it to be. You do? Okay.
I'd grab you one of those.
Want to just go in here real quick?
No phones are bad.
What was that?
No phones are bad.
No. Oh, okay. A coffee shop and there's like no step to go in, so that's not bad for like historic places. Oh. What is this? Oh, a marketplace.
restored in
1982? I can't see if that was supposed to say witches. I don't think so.
no.
Oh. Virgo, waning crescent moon phase. Now we're going to walk through the visitor center area to get back to the garage.
Yep.
You can pay on the floor.
Take my sweatshirt off.
Credit card, discount ticket, points, or bank notes.
$2.50, what a great thing for parking. You know, it's accessible by the T, and the boat.
Yeah.
That's why a million people flocking here.
Yeah.
Oh God, not me.
We're in the car on the way back now, and we all really liked it. So it was $25 a person, which we thought was a great deal, and parking was only $2.50. It was really like an affordable thing, especially because you can also get here by train, by ferry from downtown Boston. Like I'm looking at this booklet now, which was in the visitor center. They also mention a shuttle that they have within Salem that's on an app. They also say it's accessible. I've noticed like when I've traveled, like some of these things are only available like at night on the weekend, so I don't know too much about that, but it's nice that they have that option that's also accessible. I actually found it more accessible than I thought, the town. Like most of the stores didn't have a step going in, which I'm used to with these like historic towns. There was a lot of like brick and things like that, but the tour itself, like honestly, when I looked at the lift, I think that a scooter could fit in there, but I didn't ask ahead of time. Check like whatever, like if you have a power wheelchair or a scooter, I would message them ahead of time, because I've experienced trolleys where they're like, oh, we can do a manual wheelchair but not a scooter. So I would ask, but it definitely seems spacious to me in the back. The only thing I'll say about the trolley is those seats I was sitting in were probably the worst as far as like security, because I was like sideways, like I almost fell once. So definitely try to sit in like one of the forward facing ones with like a handle on the end. And it does kind of, there are some like bumpy roads, so if you have a lot of muscle weakness, maybe have someone that's like on the other side of you to hold on to. It's not like extreme, but if you have weakness, you would probably notice it. This was the trolley tour. I first mentioned this tour, this Witch City tour, because it is voted #1 in the country and #2 for cultural, and #2 in the world for cultural and historical tours. We saw it, it's like in the same place. It's like a 2 hour, an hour and a half walking tour. So that is one that people obviously recommend, and right around there you can make your own broom and things like that. So I would definitely visit Salem again and go do more of the experiences, because we like saw a lot that it has to offer. It was almost like a preview, like if you wanted to go again. But I appreciated how they talked not only about history, but about the pop culture stuff like Bewitched and Hocus Pocus, but they also touched upon like architecture and things like that. So there was like a little something for everyone that was kind of like a preview if you wanted to come again. And it was the picture perfect day weather-wise. It was great. Coming up into September, it's going to get much more busy. Like we drove by the Witch Museum and there was like 6 people waiting outside. They said like come near September, October, like late September, October, there will be 600 people outside. And there's like 1.3 million visitors a year. There could be 60 to 100,000 people at night in peak Halloween time. So definitely keep in mind that with the crowds and the sidewalks, like even the house from Hocus Pocus, that they had to widen the sidewalks because of all the crowds. But even then, like if you rely on sidewalks, just keep that in mind, like depending what time of the year that you come. We all really enjoyed the tour, and I will say the steps to get inside the trolley were not too steep, especially because they parked right next to the curb. So if you are like taking a rollator or walker or something like that, I didn't struggle too much because there was like railings. Like sometimes like trolley buses, like the steps are huge. They were just kind of a little steep compared to regular steps, but not like as bad as I've seen when it comes to buses and trolleys. And they were very happy to have dogs aboard, so it was a very pleasant experience, a very dog-friendly town actually. So if you have a furry friend and you want to do something special with them, I definitely recommend it.
How are they It's just like peeing on the street.
And all those little shops had no bathrooms. Because they have a bathroom, but
no restroom.
no restroom.
No public restroom.
Yep, so they have one, but you can't use it. So that's very unfriendly, Danielle. You really should be putting that in your blog, 'cause that's huge. So imagine being all those people standing out in the streets and there's no bathrooms in the middle of October.
Don't rely on the public bathrooms here. Like the tour guide even said, like the bathroom that was in that visitor center was like the best one in downtown Salem, but it was only open from like 9 to 4. So it's not even open at night when most people are out drinking and whatnot and need a bathroom. But like I've heard things like in the peak Halloween season, restaurants even will say like, oh, our restaurant is haunted, like the pipes sometimes break, but it's not really haunted. They're just really old pipes and they get used a lot, so they just get broken all the time. So like it can be pretty bad if you need a bathroom. So if you're not like staying at a hotel in Salem, I would definitely keep that in mind, like that getting a bathroom is not secure, especially if you need an accessible bathroom. That's something I would do research on ahead of time, especially if you plan on going there in the peak Halloween season at night. So just based on things I've heard, not to be a fearmonger, but knowing where your bathrooms are is very important. Doing a little research after, Salem's website does have a lot of accessibility information, which I thought was great. They do have more bathrooms during the busy season at a few different locations, and they do say they have an accessible stall in at least one of those, even though they are portable. They also have an accessibility page on the website. When I first clicked on it, it didn't work, but then when I went back, it was working. So don't be fooled if that happens to you. So they have a bunch of information here, which is great, and they also have Corey Lee featured, and he did a blog on Salem. I always recommend him as a travel vlogger and blogger. So I definitely think like it's worth it if as long as you do your research depending on what your accessibility needs are. It's definitely a very interesting place if these type of Halloween things and all of that is up your alley. And there's also like tons of people from out of town. Like on our trolley tour, we were like one of the only locals. There was people from like Poland, Alabama, Illinois, all that. So Salem is definitely a historic place to go, but as it comes sometimes with locals, you don't see the things that are closest to you. So I'm really glad that we finally saw Salem. So I definitely recommend it. And if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're interested in accessibility reviews from other places that I visit. I have a lot of vlogs in the Boston area as well as like cruises and things like that. So subscribe if that's of interest to you, and thanks so much for watching.